All right, we're gonna play a little game. Russia versus China, and it needs to keep it quick. If somebody stole your best friend's boyfriend, what would you do?
I would be very angry and confront them.
Verbally, physically?
I would not take a gun to their head, but it would be a very heavy verbal conversation.
In China, we would post it on social media on WeChat moments and make them lose face. Wow, there's so much change in front of this building. I still remember when it was an empty plot of land when I first came here in 2012. I remember when we were at HBS, I think you already ranked top 30 most influential under the age of 30 in the art world.
I've been in the art world for 15 years now. I guess at some point it comes with the territory, I don't know.
So what was your first piece? How old were you when you collected your first piece?
Well, I was graduating Barnard College, and I bought a piece by a woman artist called Mira Chandel, who was dying from cancer, and painted a really gorgeous little work on rice paper, which I actually have hanging in my bedroom. That was the first artwork that I ever bought. That was, I think, in 2006.
So how old were you?
I was 21 years old.
Well, and how much was that piece?
It was $14,000.
So that was your entry price? Starting collecting?
I was already working since 2004, so I had some savings, and as a person working in the art world, of course, what I wanted to spend money on was only art. That was my kind of goal in life, is to start an art collection that would be one that reflected my values as a woman working in the art world. That's Louise Lawler. She's one of the most important women artists who started the conversation around feminism and how we see art in the context of institutions.
And how much was this when you bought it?
$25,000.
How much do you think it's worth today? I mean, doubled, 10 times 10?
No, more like triple probably.
Not bad. 所以你看，通过这个收藏还可以赚到钱，他好有商业头脑啊。
This is a work by Mernad Larson. She's a woman in her 80s, and what I like about this painting is that she came to painting later in life, and she has presented a different way of perspective.
And how old were you when you bought this?
This is a recent acquisition. I would say I was probably 30 years old.
And how much did you buy this for?
It was $40,000. I think I know what this is. Yes, my favorite.
And there's more. 板蓝根.
Since 2012, every time I catch a cold, this is what I use. And these are just the most effective, wonderful things. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. 我的闺蜜2012年的时候来北京，当时她就有一点感冒，我就为了她这个板蓝根，现在我每次见到她，她都必须要的。Once we were in Beijing, we were driving my car, and I tried to pull into the same lane as another car was trying to pull in. I don't know if you remember this.
I don't think it was a lane. I think it was the side.
The emergency lane.
The emergency lane of the highway is more how I would describe what that was. I do remember that.
Cut. And you know, there was a narrow accident. It was just a little swerve, and I said, "Oh, sorry," and you said, "Hey, we ride together, we die together." I don't remember if you remember you said that, but that in my mind just stuck in my mind. And whenever I tell my friends stories about my Russian bestie, I always say that story. And so why? What is it about? I feel like, you know, Russian. And you've said before, I'm Russian, I'm loyal.
Yes.
Can we talk a little bit about Russian loyalty? Where does that come from?
People had to depend on each other for protection that was sort of above what the state could offer. And so we were bonded together as communities, as families, and really prioritized and continued to prioritize loyalty to each other beyond anything else.
Because there's something very cold about Eastern Europeans or Russians. It's like before you meet them, before you get to know them well, it's like, oh my God, they don't have a sense of humor, they don't laugh at my jokes, they don't like me, and then all of a sudden they're your best friend. Why? What is the process of that?
Once you're in, you're in. I think that's probably more a legacy of the KGB. So back in the 20th century, it was really hard to trust someone because when you met a neighbor who was overly inquisitive and asking you too many questions, you could potentially think, are they trying to catch me out on something? And once you understood that that person was genuine, not the KGB, they weren't sending you to the gulag, they were actually trying to befriend you, that's when you could build a real relationship. Usually over tea like this, or a bottle of vodka if you're a man.
Ooh. All right, we're gonna play a little game. Russia versus China, and it needs to keep it quick.
Great.
Okay. I'm gonna say a question. You tell me how it goes down in Russia, and I tell you how it goes down in China, and we keep it to one sentence. If somebody stole your best friend's boyfriend, what would you do?
I would be very angry and confront them.
In China, we would post it on social media, on WeChat Moments, and make them lose face. If you saw a cute guy at a bar that you liked, what would you do?
I would not make eye contact, but send vibes to make sure that he understood that I was approachable for conversation, but I would not make the first move.
Okay, because Olim, your very first boyfriend, when you were a teenager, told me that you came up to him and you told him, you have beautiful eyes.
I was 13 years old. I learned a lot since then.
So in China, we would do the same. How would you break up with a guy in Russia?
If he is guilty of something and I needed to break up with him because I needed to make sure that he knew that I knew that he was guilty of something, then it would be a very beautiful breakup that would be quite loud and expressive. If I just wanted to end the relationship, I would probably do it very quietly and in a way that honored the relationship.
So in China, we would do it over WeChat. Kissing on a first date.
Yes.
In China, no. What do you do when the bill arrives on a date?
Oh, the Russian in me says the gentleman who invited me is going to handle it. But the Barnard woman in me says, I might consider offering my card to split the bill. Although, to be honest, it's never really happened.
How awful. In China, we would do what the Russians do. And actually, for me, if I liked a guy, I would let him pay the bill. If I didn't like the guy, I'd be like, no, I've got it.
You would insist.
And never AA, but that I think that's in America, or in the UK, people do. We call it AA, to go Dutch.
Oh.
What age did you leave Moscow?
Well, I was 10 years old, and I actually immigrated here to New York, just across the river from where I live right now.
New Jersey.
New Jersey.
And what was it like growing up with a Russian mentality or attitude in America, right? Because I feel that in Americans, when I came here for boarding school when I was 14, I felt that Americans can be very fake at the same time, right? It's almost all the upfront warmth. It's almost the opposite of Russian, upfront warmth, right? But then, and they laugh twice as hard at your jokes, but you don't know how much of it is. It doesn't necessarily feel honest or genuine.
Well, for me, what really illustrates my experience of transitioning from Russia to America was my first day of school. I treated school with a lot of honor and respect, as I was taught in Russia, and the first day of school was always very special for us. I arrived with a white starched shirt and a beautiful silk skirt, and I was shocked when all my American counterparts at the age of 10 were wearing washed out t-shirts and denim shorts, and I just thought that was really disrespectful towards the teacher. I arrived with flowers for the teacher, as we did in Russia on the first day of school, and
Which Americans see as bribery.
And I was made fun of because I was too formal and I was too straight. I was sitting at my desk like this. I was raising my hand like this every time because that's how we were taught.
That's what we do in China.
And in America, people were slouching, sitting like this, writing really sloppishly, and it just wasn't what I was used to. And it took a while to kind of understand the casualness that comes with American culture.
I've also been fascinated by Putin's quotes. One of them related to how he stays in shape. He says, "How does one control weight? By not overeating. How does one stay in shape? One plays sports. There are no magic pills here."
I think that's right. You reap what you sow, and you have to work hard at everything that you do in life. There is no magic. There's no magical thinking. There's no magical pill. There's no fast lane in life.
And it applies to no matter what we do, right? Whether it's work or whether it's staying in shape.
Or relationships.
Friendships, relationships.
Exactly.
所以普京说的是对的。Okay, now he also said Russia and China are very natural partners. We're neighbors with an immense common border. And I think you said your father made his first pot of money in trading with China. Can you tell us about that?
It was very interesting. When I was little, I remember just after the Soviet Union fell apart, it must have been 1990 or 1991, my father made his first trip abroad, and it was to China. And he was trading electronics. What was amazing for me was that he brought me a robot dog that would walk around, sit on his back paws, and bark. And
At that time.
And for me, in my childhood mind, that was like an alien spaceship landed from another planet. I could not believe that such a toy could exist. It was my favorite toy, and it was made in China and brought over from China.
And what was it like to grow up in Moscow at that time? Was it very poor because the Soviet Union had just... how did you live at that time?
We lived in an apartment that was given by the state to my grandparents, actually the same grandfather whose tea set we're drinking from now, because he was an academic and was related to the state in that way. He was given an apartment, which is something you could not buy in Soviet Russia. And the fact that we were able to live in a 2-bedroom apartment, the 5 of us, my grandparents, my parents, and me, with 1 bathroom, and the apartment was maybe 50 square meters, which is about the size of a nice hotel room nowadays in Beijing. That was considered very, very fortunate and very special. And the food stores were completely empty. The Soviet Union, at the end of its life, had major food shortages. And I remember my father bringing a bunch of bananas home for the first time. I've never tasted a banana. I've read about them in books, but I've never actually even seen one in person. And I remember being so fascinated by this fruit. Eating 1 banana took me 1 hour because I was so worried about it running out. And to this date, a banana is still my favorite fruit. If I was on a deserted island, I would just take bananas with me.
And we both learned how to cut a banana elegantly. So, first we cut off the head of the banana. Putin's third quote is, "I think happiness is love." Do you agree?
I absolutely do. And you can't buy love and you can't buy happiness. Those are the things that are really worth working hard for and fighting for.
When you mentioned that how to toast, the etiquette of toasting, I brought over a Chinese beloved drink, 二锅头. This is a $3 drink that everybody loves in China. And may you show us how to toast in Russia?
Well, in Russia, we look each other in the eye
To show what?
to show respect.
所以一定要接触眼神，才有尊重。
And we drink on the exhale because in the KGB era, you would sit opposite a spy and the spy would be trained not to get drunk, but they would also be trying to get you drunk to get information out of you.
Okay, 所以一定要吸气。So you first, 要呼气 you inhale,
Yeah,
and then
you exhale.
Exhale.
And then you take the drink.
吸气。
And the reason you do that is because the alcohol fumes go very quickly to your head, but it takes much longer time for your digestive system to process the alcohol, so you could stay sober longer.
Fascinating. 俄罗斯的敬酒的方式. And in China, what we do is we lower our cup to show respect until
it's a fight.
race.
It's a fight.
To the bottom. And then so we exhale and then drink.
Yes.
Okay, and do we say anything? How do you toast and say some Russian words?
На здоровье.
Na zdarovya. What does that mean?
To good health.
祝你的 祝你健康。Okay.
Cheers.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be posting a new video each week with tips and tricks that I think will help all of us lead a better life.